Joining us right now is Dennis Tejer. He's an American Airlines pilot, a spokesman for the Allied Pilots Association. I want to welcome you to the broadcast. I know it's an airport that you've landed at so many times that I've landed at. I think it feels very close to home for a lot of our viewers. Just your initial thoughts, given everything that you have seen come in around how this may have happened.
Well, it's devastating. And obviously, our thoughts and prayers are with the passengers, the crew on both aircraft, their families. There's just no figuring out how to handle this other than to take the grieving and try to heal. And to those first responders, they're risking life and limb to rescue and recover beyond belief the courage it takes. As was mentioned, and Phil just nailed it, and we all know it, DCA is a very congested airport. It's compounded by airspace restrictions to protect our capital from threat, those prohibited areas. What we saw happen is not an abnormal maneuver coming into runway 1 for the regional aircraft. We fly mainline and represent those pilots, but coming in to the basically the ILS to runway 1 and then maneuvering for the circling approach to 3-3 is a very common maneuver. Obviously, the collision with the Army helicopter is still yet to be determined. Investigation the NTSB will lead. We're going to have questions. We're going to be looking for answers, just like the public. But know that every pilot out there is as close to this as you can be, because we don't want it ever happening to us.
Right. Dennis, I mean, I know you have questions. Tell us some of your questions. Even if we don't have answers, I think it'll be informative just to understand what the kinds of questions you would be asking about. I imagine why that helicopter was where it was. Obviously, it appears that when a helicopter is that low, given the radar system on it, that it becomes not unseeable, but a lot less visible, if you will, at least electronically.
I'm not certain of that. You know, the experts who work the radar site, the air traffic controllers, can answer that, and they will. And the NTSB, I'm sure, will have a preliminary at a minimum. The question we have is this helicopter traffic, and I've seen it plenty of times at DCA, and it's called out. It's cited. We have collision avoidance systems on the airplane, but that has limitations on it as well. So all the issues coming together. I'll give you more detail on it. On the aircraft I fly, the 737, I don't know that it's really that uncommon, but the collision avoidance will tell you traffic is in front of you. It'll announce it. And if you need to take an action, it'll direct you, climb, descend. As you get closer to the ground, rightfully so, that audio becomes inhibited. On my aircraft, below 500 feet, that audio doesn't come up. The alert is there, but if I'm looking outside the airplane to land, and that's where I should be focused, there shouldn't be any traffic at that low altitude. So there's a lot of systems that are there to protect us, but it's possible that some of those systems there was a proper hole, and here we are. But it gets into the realm of trying to speculate. And we just don't want to do that.
Well,
what you've got to know, though, is DCA is a compact airspace, and flying at night is a challenge there.
But that's what I wanted to get to. So DCA obviously is this sort of super busy airport. They're landing planes almost every 2 minutes, in some cases even less than that. And then in addition to that, you add on just the number of helicopters, increasing number of helicopters it appears to be in the skies broadly around major metropolitan areas, including Washington, D.C. You're seeing it in New York City. Obviously, places like LaGuardia are also airports that are super busy and have tight spaces to get those planes in and down. And I just wonder, as we start to think more long-term about helicopter use, by the way, drones and everything else, how easy or challenging this is all going to be to maintain just this number of vehicles in the skies in this kind of close, compacted spaces.
Andrew, you nailed it. As technology and these vehicles come along, we better have regulations and technology to ensure that when something goes awry, that error is trapped. It is ever important, and we're on the Hill, ironically, there, and we're in the business centers saying, if you do this, you got to make sure you do it right. So You're right. And what is the procedure for the helicopters, those other aircraft flying in that very dense airspace very close to us? And what's not so much, you may have the regulation up there, but what if an error happens? How do we trap that? What is the system that traps that? Because you only have seconds as evidence in this tragedy.